I'm Dr. Ryan DeBell from The Move It Fix. Welcome back to Move It Fix Monday. What I want to talk to you about in this video is a better way to stretch the quads. Now, I don't really like static stretching. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably know that I don't do a lot of static stretching, and I think the quads are very commonly statically stretched. And the reason that's not effective is because you're just pulling on an active component. And really, stretching isn't going to lengthen a muscle unless you hold it for a really long time, like 24 hours. And if you actually want to add length to a piece of muscle. So what we're really trying to do is change the tone or tension of a muscle, and stretching on it isn't necessarily the best way because you're just going to pull on it and activate a stretch reflex, which can make it tighten back up. So the common stretches we see, right, if someone grabs like this, or they go up and they go into like a lunge stretch with their foot up. But I want to show you an alternative way that I think makes more sense to get muscles to relax as well as gain control of the positions of the joints that are restricted by the muscle being under tension. So this is a time where I actually think that rolling out is effective. I don't do a ton of rolling out because I think moving is better, but sometimes rolling out helps to decrease muscle tension or muscle tone. So not a lot of magic to this, just doing a standard like roll out your quad type of thing. Now when I roll out to reduce muscle tension or tone, I don't want to go above a 2 out of 10 discomfort because I want it to be relaxing, not make me tighten up. So maybe I go 30 seconds there. Then what I'm going to do is work on actively flexing my knee joint versus pulling my knee joint into flexing, or flexion, which is bending. So let's say, for example, I went into a stretch like this. What I'm doing here is just pulling on the muscle, and I'm not going to lengthen it unless I hold this for a really, really long time, which nobody does. So what I can do instead is work on, after I reduce the tone rolling out, is work on the active pulling of the knee into flexion using the hamstrings. So if you hold like this and then come back down, or go into more of a stretch and then work on doing this, it's a much more productive method of stretching than just grabbing onto this, pulling onto tension, coming off tension, and then you didn't really affect any change because you just used your hand to pull your knee into flexion and tug on your muscles. If you do this, where you work on actively moving the joint, using, in this case, your hamstrings, then what you're doing is more neurologic and movement-based, which is going to be lasting longer than just pulling on it, feeling a stretch, and then seeing no change after 6 months or a year or something. After you did this, so here's how the flow would go, because I'm trying to bring pieces together for you guys to make this very usable. So you could go 30 seconds rolling out the quads, each quad, then go 10 or 15 reps of this. Then what you do is you go into like either a rear foot elevated split squat, or just, and I don't really have the setup for this, but, or you could just go into like a standard split squat. So you'd go here. Now imagine this was taller. Then what you start doing is working through this range of motion under load to lock it in and use it under body weight. So rather than just, I'm going to stretch out the front of my leg by pulling on the muscle, I'm going to instead use the foam roller to reduce muscle tone. Then I'm going to actively move the joint through the range of motion using the opposing muscle group. Then I'm going to load it in a pattern that stretches it functionally through range of motion that I actually want it to be expressing itself in, or in which I want it to express itself. So instead of just doing static quad stretching, think about incorporating these different components so that you improve your ability to get into position rather than just your tolerance to pulling on something. So that's what I got for you guys this week on Move It Fix Monday. Food for thought. Give that flow a try next time you're doing something that requires quad flexibility. If you don't already follow the Move It Fix on Instagram, make sure to follow me at the Move It Fix. I'm also on Facebook at facebook.com/the Move It Fix. I'll see you guys next week.